Talk show host Coco Soodek. All right, Coco, you agree.
Hello, Judge.
Hi. You do agree, do you not, that the president has the right to ask for the resignation of all United States attorneys, correct?
Of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. But this one's different, Judge.
Oh, no. I thought we were going to move on.
No.
Why is Preet Bharara different?
Right. Because President Trump personally asked him to stay during his transition.
That's what he says. Trump administration denies that.
And so does Schumer. And so does Senator Schumer. But
Schumer's mad because Trump called him a circus clown.
But he is a great man when it comes to law and order, and Trump ran as the law and order president. Getting rid of this law and order hero really sort of defeats that whole pledge that he's going to be the law and order president. But more importantly, Preet Bharara is investigating Russian money laundering scandals.
How do you know that?
Because it's been reported by about 8 different news agencies today.
All right,
all right.
And
now
he's been banned in Russia. Okay, number one.
And he's been banned in Russia.
You think he's the only law enforcement hero out there? Everyone who sat in that seat has been a hero.
Right.
This guy's got an ego bigger than this studio. His fingernails are on the frame of the door as they told him to get the hell out. Here's the thing. He said, I'm in the middle of all these investigations, and therefore you can't let me go, as if he's the only one who could do them. And by the way, any investigation is generally handled by the guy underneath him. He's been investigating Andrew Cuomo for, what, 3 years now? And that's one of the things that he's saying. I'm still investigating. You can't let me go. He's a smart guy, and he's probably going to run for governor, and that's why he's doing all this. But you know what? We'll hear more about Russia. Let's go on. Look,
he's also wait.
Go ahead.
Wait, one more thing. He's also investigating. He's investigating Fox News. Also, by the way.
Oh, really?
For securities violations. For securities violations.
Really?
In connection with failure. Yeah. In connection with failure
Where
to disclose.
do you get this crap from, Coco? You make this stuff up before you get here.
From a variety of news sources, and when I'm done,
I will tweet
all of my references.
Okay, let's move on.
That's one.
Let's talk about this. All right, so now we've got WikiLeaks, the CIA, and all this other stuff. On March 20th, we're going to have a hearing as to what's going on with Russia and this administration. Now, Clapper says there's nothing to indicate that there's anything going on between the Trump administration and Russia. And we've got Devin Nunes, who's on the Intelligence Committee, says there's no connection, and Burr and all the rest of them. And these people are having a breakdown, including Adam Schiff, because they keep saying there's got to be a connection, there's got to be a connection. There is no connection, according to all the intelligence agencies. Now, Clapper worked for Obama. Do we not believe him?
2,820. 2,820.
What?
That's the number of automatic pings that went between a Trump campaign server and a Russian bank.
Okay, so why
he just fired the U.S. attorney who's investigating Russian money laundering?
No. First of all, he would not be the only one to look at that. Right now, the FBI is doing the work, Coco, not Preet.
The Russian fertilizer king's plane.
Counterintelligence is doing it. Who do you think got the FISA? Not Preet. Come on, Coco. This is something totally different. And to be honest with you, if Clapper says there's nothing there and everyone else says there's nothing there. That's not what Clapper said. Yes, he did.
That's not what Clapper said.
He says there's no connection. Oh, come on, Coco.
No, that's not what he said.
What did he say?
He said there's no wiretap. No, he said there's no wiretap of Trump Tower.
He did not say there was no wiretap. He said there was no evidence of collusion between the Trump administration and Russia. Now,
I understand
this is Fox News. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump. It has everything
to do with Donald Trump and the shady, corrupt administration that he's running. And you guys are covering for him because this is Fox News.
Oh, my goodness. Fox News?
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
Let me ask you a question.
You guys are covering for him.
Do you really think that Barack Obama, who opened up the intelligence agencies so they could leak everything, who's got a shadow government with Valerie Jarrett in Washington right now? Oh, he's not?
Nobody thinks that's real.
Why is he still
in Washington? That's only Fox News and Breitbart and all the rest of these crazy organizations.
Who's living in that house and building a wall in Washington?
No. Yeah, I don't know
Barack
what you're
Obama.
talking about.
Oh, Valerie didn't move in with them?
There's no evidence about that.
Okay,
The
gotta
Wall
go.
Street, no.
Coco, stop making this crap
That's
up
it?
before you come on. Goodbye. The fight's not over. Next. My political panel just can't wait to get into it. Next time I'm going to let you fight with her. This is a big week in American politics. David Avella and Chris Hahn standing by, ready to rumble. And later. So is the president threatening anybody that he won't support them or that it'll work? Come on,
That's
Sean.
not his style. That is not his style.
Just how ugly will things get in the fight over health care? I asked Sean Spicer in part 2 of my Justice Primetime exclusive. Justice rolls on in a moment.
Live from America's News headquarters, I'm Marianne Rafferty. Tensions between Turkey and the Netherlands escalating. Local media reporting Dutch authorities declared a Turkish foreign minister, quote, an undesirable alien and detained her. That's sparking protests in Turkey. The minister was going to campaign in the Netherlands for a referendum to extend the powers of Turkey's president. The Dutch call that a step away from democracy. In the Netherlands, pro-Turkey demonstrators protesting outside the consulate, police boosting their presence there to match the growing crowds. And funeral services being held in Guatemala for victims of that fire Wednesday in a government-run shelter. The death toll there now rising to 39. Groups in Guatemala demanding the country's president step down. The head of Protective Services Agency has been ordered to stay in the country while investigations continue. I'm Marianne Rafferty. Now back to Justice with Judge Jeanine.
Welcome back to Justice. Time for the panel, live with David Avella Gopak, chairman and radio talk show host, former aide to Schumer, Chris Hahn. Thanks for being here. All right, guys, real fast. Preet Bharara, was he very gentlemanlike, Chris?
Look, he's my former colleague. I think he's a great guy. And I think that the president asked him to stay, and he should have kept him. It gave me a lot of hope that the president was going to hire good people. President has the right to pick his
is he the
U.S.
only good
attorneys.
prosecutor in the country?
No, look, everybody's replaceable. The cemeteries are filled with irreplaceable people. But you know what? That's life. But the president did say he was going to keep him. It gave a lot of people like me hope that he was going to keep him.
That's his version. And you know what? Even if the president did say it, he could change his mind tomorrow. David, hit it.
For years now, the rumors have been that this guy is running for governor of New York. Donald Trump made a Preet. And Donald Trump made a Trump-tastic move by getting rid of him because we don't need the U.S. Attorney's Office to be used to run for governor of New York.
You know, it sure looks like he got the idea from Sean Hannity on Thursday night. I'm wondering if when the president sent the letter of firing, he put the hashtag LNY, let not your heart be troubled on it. I'm wondering.
Okay. Well, you know what? We'll never know. But what we do know is that the president is clearly within his right. And you know what the shame of it is, Chris? We don't know whether or not he would have been one of the ones that the president would have asked to stay. Because if you go across the board and say, tender your resignations, we know of 2 that were, offered the job after they tendered them. But anyway, I want to go to Julian Assange and WikiLeaks and all this craziness. Now, we've got all this stuff coming out of the leaks coming out of the CIA, and the Intelligence Committee is getting all of these briefings from Jim Comey, and they've been unusually quiet, but we've got these hearings coming up on March 20th. So is Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, is he friend or foe? What do you say, Chris?
I say foe. In fact, he's got all the markings of somebody who's being controlled by a foreign government that does not have our best interests at heart. And while you might like him because of your political persuasion at times, be careful. When it doesn't suit that country's interest to be good to you, they are going to use him against you.
Okay.
We should not allow this to continue.
Okay, so forget about the country that he may be an operative of. Do you think that it's a good idea, David, to at least know that our country may be surveilling us?
Look, the American people give our U.S. government and the CIA and the FBI in particular billions of dollars every year to take on measures to make sure we stay safe. Assange is releasing some of those. But here is a far bigger issue, Judge, that is coming out with this WikiLeaks. Now they're saying to private companies like Apple that, look, we're showing you what's out there and what we know is out there, But look, if you hire us or you let us know and you let us in, then we're going to do some white hacking to help you close up your systems.
So
now you've got U.S.
the
private
guy's an
companies
entrepreneur.
that are going to have to decide. Judge, you're going to have companies that have to decide.
Dave, it's like the big bad wolf saying, little pig, let me in.
Yeah, but
that's what
Chris,
that is.
Chris, when I was a prosecutor, I got to tell you, some of the best guys who were informants were the dirtbags because they know the game better than a lot of us in law enforcement knew it.
Well, it's like that movie It's like the movie Catch Me If You Can, right?
I mean, that's
how some of these guys are.
Yeah. Okay. But you know, David, in the end, I mean, what Microsoft has said that some of their new software prevents the kind of stuff that Assange is doing. But you know, Chris, at the end of the day, there is very little that WikiLeaks exposed that wasn't truthful.
Yeah, look, again, the fact that they are able to do what they're doing suggests that they have help from a major foreign power. And the fact that they're doing it is something that we should be very concerned about.
Do you agree with that, David? That it had to be help from a foreign power?
There is no evidence. This is like saying Russia hacked our elections. I mean, we don't know that there's any evidence of this, but what we do know
don't you read the paper?
This is a dangerous world.
Look,
and we have to have our CIA and our FBI up on tactics to make sure we're keeping this country safe. And just as we have had the entire time of our country, we've had to modernize, we've had to be ahead of the bad guys who want to do bad things. This is another case of this, but Americans are fine with spending money on what the CIA and the FBI are doing to keep us safe.
Look, he's not a friend of the United States of America, and it's time that the White House makes that very clear to him.
Why? Do you think that we should charge him and extradyte him?
Yeah, well,
we've been trying to extradite him. We've been trying to extradite him. He's held up in a foreign embassy. And,
yeah.
Yes,
okay.
And he's
all
not
right, but
in the Ecuadorian embassy, and he's not coming
here's
back.
the bottom line. We've got Snowden, and we've got Assange, and we've got the other guy who's now a woman. Who is that one? Who's the other one?
Ashley,
Yeah.
And the guy, the former military guy, yes.
Come on, guys, tell me. And in my ear, they'll tell me in a minute. But anyway, I mean, and now we find out that all of this stuff that we think is secret and protected, Chelsea Manning. Thank you.
Chelsea Manning. Yeah.
Chelsea Manning. That all this stuff we think is secret is not. Sometimes, and I'm a prosecutor. I'm like into the Patriot Act, and I'm all American and all that jazz. But sometimes we really need to know about the crap that is out there and that is not protected. Don't you agree, David?
Well, we certainly need to know what the bad guys know about our technologies, but we are certainly collecting valuable information that keeps our country safe, and we ought to be encouraging the CIA and the FBI to continue advancing the techniques they're using to find out not only what bad actors like Assange is doing to bring down our security, but what terrorist groups are doing and what foreign countries are doing.
But here's the problem, because I got to go.
We need a strong FBI
Okay, and I got to
CIA.
tell you, it may be the FBI and CIA that's doing some of the leaking. So there. David Avella and Chris Hahn, thanks so much. And
thanks, Judge.
Part 2 of my interview with Sean Spicer ahead. And next, Marines in Syria. What are the long-term ramifications for the administration and the military? My friend Colonel David Hunt standing by to get into all of this with me. Stay with us. U.S. Marines have arrived in Syria with heavy artillery. The deployment is part of a specific mission to take back the city of Raqqa from ISIS. Fox News military analyst and author of the new book, Without Mercy, Colonel David Hunt. All right, Colonel, so while everyone is focused on the Trump tweets, you break the fact that American troops are on the ground in Syria. When, where, and how many?
Yeah, I talked about it on Tuesday. You've got around 300 Rangers from the 3rd Battalion, 3rd Ranger Battalion on these mechanized vehicles called Stryker vehicles that came on Tuesday, and about Thursday, about 200 Marines in support of them in the form of artillery. 155 artillery are in. So the point of that is we've invaded Syria with cooperation from Russia, and although Assad says no, we're not there without Assad's permission. And we're in the fight in Mosul, Iraq. So we've got almost 10,000 soldiers on the ground in a fight between Iraq and Syria. That's kind of a big deal. And we've got soldiers that are going to be stationed in Kuwait to reinforce both those efforts. So we've had a substantial commitment now of almost 10,000 soldiers in two countries, fighting two different wars, Iraq and now in Syria.
Okay, so that number, 10,000 boots on the ground now, is up from what? From the Obama administration?
250 about 3 years ago started this.
Wow.
And on the Obama administration,
we
were looking at, yeah, we were looking at 6,000 for a while. But in order to pull this operation off with support and reinforcements and what's happening in Mosul and Iraq, and again, we're going to go up and kill ISIS and get them out of Raqqa, I get. The problem's going to be, and we're going to be very successful at it, is what do you do with these unstable states like Syria and Iraq and Libya and Yemen? Because the terrorism is not going to go away. We're fighting for 16 years.
All right.
If we don't get at the cause, it's going to be 16 more.
All right, let me ask you this. So Russia is fighting ISIS. Assad is fighting ISIS.
Yes.
We are fighting ISIS. We're all in Syria. So are we coordinating with Russia and Assad? We
Absolutely.
have to.
We have to, of course. It makes military sense, tactical sense. It's just strange bedfellows happen in the middle of a war on terror.
So why is Assad saying, when he's asked, did you open the door for American troops? He said, no, we didn't. Any foreign troops coming to Syria without our invitation are invaders, whether they're American or anyone else. Why is Assad saying that?
Assad has to answer to his own population and his allies. But you've got Turkish troops. You've got about 7 different militaries on one side of this trying to fight. And you got about 10 terrorist organizations on the other side. This is chaos, and part of what we're trying to do in this is to keep the friendly forces apart. And it's a very dangerous mission, as all combat is. But this is not. We're going to have more of this and not less.
Are we going to finish ISIS,
surprising.
Colonel? Are we going to finish ISIS?
Yes.
Trump says he was. He's going to do it.
Yes.
Then what?
Yeah. Well, killing ISIS is. We will. We've got a great military, and we've been killing terrorists for 16 years. The problem is then what do you do with the countries after you kill ISIS? If you don't fix these countries and the refugees problem, then you're going to continue having this terrorism war.
Okay. All right. Now, your new book. There's talk of a movie, your new book, Without Mercy, and I love it. I love your book because it sounds just like you. And you know what I love about it? It's about terrorism. I'm going to say real fast. My favorite part is the female president who's a combat warrior and won a Silver Star. What do you want to say about it real fast?
That's the best book of its genre out there. You can buy it at withoutmercy.org or text at 6566, type the word mercy. We've got a Facebook page at Without Mercy. It's a terrorism book, a little apocalyptic, that has ISIS getting nukes from Pakistan, and they blow one up in Bagram Air Base. They send it to the U.S., another nuke, and how the U.S. and the world would react. We go through 4 different countries. This is a page turner. We're very proud of this. I wrote it with R.J. Pinero, who's a great author.
Okay, forget that. You're wonderful. I read the
everybody.
book. You cannot put it down. Colonel David Hunt, my friend. Goodbye.
Thank you.
All right. I'm talking about the GOP plan to replace Obamacare and what it means for you with White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer. Next. Time for part 2 of my primetime exclusive interview with White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer. The topic, GOP's health care plan. Take a look. Hi, Sean. Thanks for being with us.
You bet, Judge. Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, the president says things are coming along very well with the health care replacement plan, but we're seeing a lot of resistance from the right and from the left. So how confident is the president that this bill is going to pass? And would you say that it's going to pass in the first 100 days? And if it doesn't in the first 100 days, would this be a failure for the president?
Well, I think it's going to pass. The president's very committed to seeing this through. He's been meeting with members from both houses and both parties, senators, congressmen, Republicans, Democrats. He understands that the current health care law is broken. We've got patients that are paying more and more every year with skyrocketing premiums. They're having fewer and fewer choices. In 1/3 of all the counties in our nation, there's only one choice for a health care provider, which is essentially making it no choice. They're not getting what they were promised 8 years ago. It is not affordable. It is not accessible. In many cases, people have a card, but but they don't have care.
Right.
And I think the president recognized the importance of health care in our society, and he's working to get this passed through. That being said, we've hosted committee chairmen here at the White House for 3 reasons. One is to thank them. 2 is to point out that in both committees, as this has gone through in the House, there's been unanimous support from Republicans. But most importantly, this is a 3-pronged approach, Judge. It was passed that way, and we've got to do it the same way, meaning we can do certain things through an arcane process called reconciliation, which basically means there are certain things you can do legislatively and certain things you can't. We've started the bill in that process, and then there are other things that can be done administratively, and then other things that have to be done in the 3rd prong, which is additional legislative stuff, meaning that we can buy health care across state lines, expand the pool of health savings accounts, allowing small businesses to pool their resources together. But we have to look at this effort as a comprehensive effort, not just the current bill that's going through.
Would it be considered a win if you just repealed the thing and started all over?
Well, that's what we're doing, though. This is the most comprehensive repeal effort that we've seen. You've got to do it in a way that doesn't jeopardize people's health care.
You're repairing it at the same time that you're repealing it.
Well, we're repealing it, but we're also making sure that we start to put in place the phase 1 aspects of this and ensure that American people get the health care coverage that they need. Now, remember, Jeanine, this is really important. For most Americans, they get their coverage through their employer. The only thing that's going to happen through this entire plan is probably their premiums are going to go down over time as we instill more competition and choice.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Right, it would, because the problem with Obamacare fundamentally is that it sought to fix the problem with people not having health care that were outside employer-based health care, Medicaid, TRICARE, and Medicaid. What happened was it affected the entire system. 1/5 of our economy was affected because the way that the Obama administration approached this wasn't to target the people who didn't have health care, but was basically to ruin the entire system for everybody, and nobody benefited out of that. Now, what we need to do is make sure we were focusing on those people who don't have care or who can't afford to have the care because of the way the system was implemented.
There are some who are saying that the president has actually threatened to work against those Republicans who are not in support of the bill. Is there any substance to that?
Well, look, this president is a very successful businessman. He knows how to get deals. He knows how to negotiate. He's sitting down with these members. And to be honest, a lot of times people don't fully appreciate the comprehensive nature of the approach that he and the House are taking in this. So we've had some very, very optimistic meetings with members of Congress, senators, and outside interest groups that have become very, very supportive once they hear the comprehensive nature of what the president's seeking to achieve and how he's seeking to do it.
So is the president threatening anybody that he won't support them or that it'll work? Come on,
That's
Sean.
not his style. That is not his style.
Time will tell. My thanks to White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer. We'll be right back.
When asked to comment today, President Trump smiled and said nothing.
All right, Coco. How are you, Coco?
Hello, Judge.
Judge,
this is not going to be one of our more polite conversations.
Of course it is. Now, let me ask you this. So we've got Donald Trump 6 days away. There's no question that he has a wide electoral margin, and Congressman Lewis says he is not a legitimate president. Agree or disagree?
I don't think he's a legitimate president.
Okay, why?
I do think he's going. Hang on, and I do think he's going to become the president. And I am not in favor of martial law. We are the United States of America.
Okay.
I think that Donald Trump's election was the product of a Putin coup, an invasion of our country through fake news, through hacking the DNC, and he got his victory from cheating. The other thing is, and I know this is a surprise.
Stop.
I know
no, wait a minute. We're not going on. How did Donald Trump cheat? How?
Putin cheated on his behalf, and there are countless reports about how Donald Trump's emissaries communicated with Putin throughout the campaign.
About what?
Took intelligence.
About what?
And Donald Trump himself requested Putin.
All right, let's back up for a second. You know that Barack Obama himself said the election it could not possibly be rigged because we do not have a centralized system. Barack Obama said that himself. He said that himself.
I'm not saying
everyone. Let me finish. Let me finish. And everyone has said that if the emails were hacked by Russia. Okay, and I don't care if it's Russia, Julian Assange, Hillary's hairdresser, or Osama bin Laden rose from the ocean and hacked them. I don't really care. Nobody has said that Hillary's emails or the DNC emails were not accurate. So how was the election rigged?
They weren't accurate. No, they were selectively. They were selectively.
What wasn't accurate?
They were selectively edited and disclosed by WikiLeaks.
Oh, yeah? Who
Plus,
said that?
there was an avalanche of fake news and harassment and trolling by paid operatives from the Russian government.
Fake news?
And we know
Then
that the CIA and the FBI have said that Putin intended to install Trump.
What's the fake news? What's
Fake
the
news
fake
is all
news?
kinds of
golden
of
showers?
insults and aspersions and lies spread about Hillary Clinton. Look, she was. Well, let's put this aside, okay? I want to talk for a second about what you said about limousine liberals and how awful we are. And
wait a minute.
Something.
Before you get to that, wait a minute. What is the fake?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I have some questions. What's the fake news? Donald Trump
all kinds
won.
of fake
Nobody
news
touched
sites.
the machines.
It's documented. Look, Samantha Bee on her show interviewed a bunch of people who were paid to troll people on Twitter. Let's put that aside. There are reports all over the world. There are reports. Look, there are
you
reports.
are not seriously suggesting that a comedian has intelligence on Putin. Are you?
Look,
Samantha Bee's a comedian.
I'm saying that she did a report, and she look. I want to back this up.
That's fake
I want to back this
news.
up.
That goes with the golden showers.
This is an alternative universe, and you can hide from the reports around the country, around the world, that Putin intervened in our election. But the thing is, Donald Trump is going to be inaugurated, but he is also going to come to trial at some point. I am a liberal, and I love my country, and I am part of the resistance. And I believe this man will be president, but I also believe that it is a liberal's job to oppose him.
Okay, you know what? You got the First Amendment right, but let me tell you something.
Yeah.
We hack them, they hack us. Do you agree with that?
I do not believe. I think that when a foreign government invades our country, it is a serious act of war.
Did they come
and the
to
fact
the borders?
that you and the Republicans and Trump are not taking this seriously is horrifying.
Coco,
look,
you know what? You're dreaming.
Do you understand?
Nobody invaded.
The CIA. Right? Do you disagree that the CIA and the FBI said that
Putin
intended to influence the election?
Putin did not invade the country, and neither did the Russians. And when they do, I'll let you know. Because we'll call the military.
Then what is the difference between walking into our borders and invading our digital borders?
Coco, thank you for being with us. Always a pleasure. Anyway, my political panel is standing by for probably a lower key debate on all of this. Plus, a very special guest, the daughter-in-law. We are 6 days away from what for centuries has been a peaceful transition of power. Yet our democracy has never been in greater danger. Instead of enjoying and celebrating this time-honored, sacred, and hallowed tradition where the torch is passed to a new, democratically elected president of the greatest nation on earth, we are mired down in the politics of division, fake news, and hate-fueled resistance to the 45th president of the United States. Shame on us. This week, a United States congressman with no doubt a stellar record in the civil rights movement, John Lewis, said he would not attend the inauguration, adding this.
It's going to be very difficult. I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
Not legitimate? Pray tell, Congressman Lewis, what's not legitimate? Donald Trump won by a large electoral college margin, and in spite of efforts to do a recount, which backfired big time, and efforts to influence those faithless electors, nothing changed. Congressman, you have devoted your life to equal rights and equal justice for all. You have been rewarded with a seat in America's most exalted House of Representatives. Likewise, Donald Trump has been rewarded with a seat in America's White House. Are you not a part of our democracy? Do you not want a peaceful transition of power? Did you not take an oath to support the Constitution, including Article 2 that created the Electoral College? You, a congressman for 30 years, know how to amend the Constitution if you don't like it. No one has a promise with your voicing your First Amendment rights. But you and your party, those purveyors of the peaceful transition of power, so concerned that the Republicans wouldn't be, are daily proving yourselves to be hypocrites. And another Democrat, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, proudly asserts her refusal to meet the man who will sit in the Oval Office. Where's equal rights and inclusion? Where's doing your job for the people who elected you? And as for those liberal Hollywood leftists in need of a lobotomy, like Rosie O'Donnell, they are straight up communists. Rosie supports imposing martial law, delaying the inauguration until Trump is cleared of all charges. Rosie, I know you. I don't have a problem with you. But martial law? Are you nuts? Welcome back. The stakes couldn't be higher with just 9 days left to the election. My next guest is liberal radio show host Coco Soodek. All right, good evening, Coco. Let's get started.
Hello, Judge.
I have to tell you, I think it's so ironic that Hillary Clinton did everything she could to attack the women who accused her husband of all of these sexual indiscretions, and yet it's Hillary's right-hand female aide who may end up taking her down.
Come on, Judge. This is not going to take her down. This is going to tighten the polls a little bit, and that's a good thing because it's going to remind Democrats to get out there and get out the vote.
That's all you're going to say? Coco!
I mean, this is not going to, come on, this is not going to take her down. Some emails that the FBI discovered weeks ago that they didn't even bother to tell their boss about, and when they told their boss, he got all excited and created the James Comey full employment program by taking it to the Congress as an innuendo, a little gossip.
All right, here's the thing.
This is not going to take her down.
Here's the thing. He went before Congress, and he said the investigation was closed, and then he finds out there are 650,000 emails that when they do a metadata search, they're connected to Hillary Rodham Clinton's private email server. So you say to yourself, what is this ex-congressman, disgraced, pervert, alleged pedophile doing with stuff from the State Department server? Even you, Coco, as an American, have to admit this is dirty, dirty, dirty.
Okay, first of all, Judge, I think we can all agree,
yes,
Democrats and Republicans alike, that Anthony Weiner is a truly, truly bad guy. Let's put that aside. We have found something.
So why does he have a computer with State Department stuff on it?
Hang on. Right, but the thing is, we don't actually know about 650,000 emails. We don't know anything about these emails.
Yeah, we do.
We don't.
We know they did a metadata search, and on the metadata search, they're picking up Hillary's stuff.
You know why we don't know that?
Jim Comey did this because, you know what?
We don't know that. Here's why we don't know that.
They got a search warrant. The search warrant went through tonight.
Because the warrant was just issued.
Yeah.
The FBI would have seized those emails
because they had to make a show. Hey, I'm a judge. I used to sign this stuff. They had to make a showing that there was a connection to the case. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gotten the warrant. Trust me on this. Stop.
No.
Let's talk about WikiLeaks.
All right.
What do you think about the fact that your gal, her husband was making $100 million from people who donated to the Clinton Foundation, so much money that he made $12 million from what country is it? For 5 minutes, not Qatar. One of these countries. Come on, guys, can you give me some help there? $12 million from one of the countries for 5 minutes, one of the Middle Eastern countries, and made $100 million just to be him. They were raising money for Bill Clinton, Inc. While she's Secretary of State.
That's what the market, because that's what the market would bear.
5 minutes for $12 million bucks?
It didn't have anything to do with her being Secretary of State. It had to do with him being Bill Clinton.
Well, let me ask you a question. How do you go from $125,000 a speech to $12 million for 5 minutes? Can somebody find out the name of that country? Morocco.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that that's true.
It is true.
But, okay. but the thing is, it's Bill Clinton. Okay?
Is he that
Bill Clinton is
handsome?
worth any amount of money that you get fucked
in 10 years, 125,000 and 12 million.
His words are just nothing but nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah,
Pearls
right. And
of
she's
wisdom,
in the
and people are willing to pay any amount of
she
money.
can approve the sale of arms.
You guys,
she can approve pipelines. She can approve all kinds of deals.
No, she can't. She can't approve any of that stuff by herself. Not by herself. And you guys have been searching for actual facts and things that you can really bring against her, and you haven't found one. You got to give it up. She's going to be the president.
But they went right
She's going to be the
head.
president in
and
10
you know what,
days.
Coco, I'm bringing you on the week after the election when Donald Trump wins. All right?
All right. All right. I'm going to bring me the hanky. I'll be crying.
Yeah? You'll be crying?
I'll be crying.
I'll be laughing.
I'll be crying and drunk.
Bye.
I'll be crying and drunk.
Bye. Drugged. Good. I'll check your blood alcohol. We'll be right back.